Hey, Cleaning Nation, Mike Campion here with the lovely and talented Suzanne Bandick. She is one of our performance mindset coaches for the team. And I love these calls because I'm pretty good at the tactical, the what to do and how to do it. But when I've told people what to do and how to do it, and they clearly know what to do and how to do it, and yet they don't do the thing they need to do, Suzanne is able to stand in that gap. And the reason you care about any or all of that is so many of you have more information than you need, right? You've been to YouTube University, you've got your 1,000-hour degree, but you're just overwhelmed as can be. And you're still experiencing your business in confusion and chaos. And a lot of that is how you choose to look at things more than what to do and how to do it. So I love having these conversations because I typically come at it very tactical, like just do more of this or less of that. And Suzanne sees, I kind of see lots of black and white, a little gray now and again. She sees the full palette of colors that gets people to take action or not take action or feel a certain way about their business or about a decision. So that's why she is here. That's one of the many reasons she's amazing. So let's dive into today's topic, which is right up that alley. What thoughts put your brakes on and stop your success? And I'm going to say that again because that's first of all, I just want to say the questions that you ask, like 80% of being a leader is asking asking questions and making decisions. And when you ask questions like, why do I always fail? How come people are lazy? What will happen if everybody quits? That will be a caliber of leadership that you display and a caliber of result that you get. When you ask questions like, what thoughts put your brakes on and stop your success? That's a very different result, right? Because it's even got the embedded question of, well, how do I take those brakes off, right? So I just love that question. I want to encourage you to think of any questions like that, especially when you get into, why am I always broke? Or why doesn't this work? Or why do I try and fail? Those questions will get you one place. What am I doing? What thoughts are in my head that are getting this result, that are getting in the way? Oh my gosh, it's such a healthy question that you can actually get at. And because Suzanne, I have a feeling there's going to be somewhere around 4 steps of exactly how to take those breaks off. So hopefully I've set the table nicely for you, Suzanne. Let's enjoy a meal together.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. All right. So, as we're recording this podcast, it's January. However, so it's extremely an appropriate subject. However, any time of the year, we can decide this is the goal I want to set. Let's talk specifically for a cleaning company. I want to have 10 clients every single month. I want to increase my revenue by this amount. I want to increase my profit by this amount. I want to anything that you desire for the entire year, for the month, whatever it is, you set your goal. And we get really excited about our goal, right? We think, yes, I'm going to do this. And then what happens is 1 minute, 5 minutes, next day, next week, we go, oh, wait a minute. What am I doing? I can't do this because I can't do it because I'm not smart enough, because I don't know what to do, because I didn't do it last year. What makes me think I can do it this year? I didn't do it last month. I didn't do it yesterday, whatever that story is, right? What if getting more clients causes me more stress? What if getting more clients and more employees and growing my business causes me less time with my family? I said I wanted more time. And all of a sudden, that beautiful, bright goal that we were very excited about, all of a sudden, we slam the brakes on and we stop.
It's just what we talked about. You made statements, and I hate statements. No one ever learns anything from a statement. And if you don't believe me, have a pig-headed 9-year-old like I have, who's a lovely human being and just sweet as a button. But he'll just make ridiculous statements that he's 9. He doesn't know. He'll say like crazy things like, I speak Spanish. And he knows how to say hola and que pasa. He just says, I speak Spanish. And then when I'm like, do you? Or there's no room for, how could I speak Spanish? If I wanted to speak Spanish, what could I do? And again, when you're 9, it's kind of cute and fun and you've got to mature out of that. So statements are tough. Or if they're going to make a statement, at least make it healthy, right? Like, I speak Spanish. Well, if you don't speak Spanish and you want to, that statement's going to be really unhelpful. If you do speak Spanish and they're asking you for a job interview, it would be helpful to answer in the affirmative. So just be super careful with statements to make sure. And if possible, I love the questions. Like you even said it. What if everybody quits? Why do I keep doing this? Why won't I do? And those questions will either kill. They're the poison and the cure. It's just you get. And the cool thing is we get to pick all the questions.
Exactly. So I hope we're getting around some clarity here that we can set the goals, and sometimes, let's be clear about this. Sometimes when we don't reach that goal, let's look at our past year or past month or wherever it is that you want to go. If we don't reach that goal, we create a lot of stories
Mhm.
and we tend to hold ourselves back at that point because we think nothing can change. We think, I'm not different. I'm not smart enough. I don't know how. And that stops our big, bright, beautiful goal from ever seeing the light of day because we've put our brakes on and we've stopped ourselves.
And
Now, go ahead.
it works both ways. So you made a really good point. When we don't hit our goals, we start asking questions that typically kill us. Why am I so stupid? Why does this always happen to me? How come other people are successful? Blah, blah, blah. Crazy thing is, we can, or make statements, this will never work, question or statements. Works when we succeed too. And it's equally painful. When we succeed, I'm a genius. Everything I touch turns to gold. If I just,
Yes.
I'm nothing's ever going to change, right? So we make statements and questions, and then the whole pride goeth before fall. Oftentimes fall comes before pride, right? We get kicked in the teeth. We're forced to ask better questions, and then that's how we get successful. So be careful in all scenarios about the questions that we ask and statements we make, because they'll kill the success just as quickly as they'll kill the guy or gal struggling.
Thank you. And actually, on the next level call that I was doing yesterday, it came up something that I thought would be appropriate to talk about here. Dr. Maxwell Maltz, in his book Cybernetics, talks about a rocket leaving Earth to go to the moon is continually course correcting.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point.
Okay. Continuously. So let's look at our lives and our business. And let's say if we put the brakes on and we don't go anywhere, we never leave Earth. We have no opportunity to get to the moon. But if we say, and I'm going to give you some steps to help with this, if we say, you know what, we can get started, we can leave. Do you think we also can course correct along the way and get ourselves all the way to the moon to our goal?
You can't steer a parked car, right? If you're not moving, you can't. There's no feedback loop. A
Right.
rocket gets to self correct a lot because it's going so fast. And you know what self
Yeah.
correcting really is? Making mistakes. Can't self correct until you make a mistake. Getting a little off track, realizing this isn't where I want to go, and then making a little constant little correction. So
Right.
as Suzanne goes into her four things, because I'm dying to hear them, I'm going to give you a cheat code when it comes to questions, because I'm always giving examples of different questions that would be effective in different scenarios. Here's a question that will be effective in just about every scenario. So here's a cheat code. You can use this every gosh darn time for whatever it is. I know, big promise. I think we're going to fulfill. What would need to happen to? So anytime there's a goal, my goal is $1 million, and God dang it, I was half that. We only hit a 500,000 this year. And then you can ask, why am I so dumb? Why is the world so dumb? Why is everyone so lazy? Why is the president not helping me more? Whatever goofy question we want to ask. And whichever president you voted for, questions equally bad, by the way. Um, and those all get you different results. A question's almost always going to get you results. Is what would need to happen too? Well, I didn't hit a million for the 93rd time in a row. Cool. So what would need to happen to hit it the 94th time? And just even asking the question, you're like, okay, all is not lost. I got this. So even if you're not going to hit it for 119 times, and this one's futile again, it's just course correcting. But it'd be like a rocket heading to the moon. It gets an inch off, which, for the first couple seconds, that's no big deal. But at the rate it's traveling in 9 minutes, it ain't going, it's going to miss the moon by, a planet. But if it just said, God dang it, why am I always off track? Then we miss the moon. If you go, what's going on? Okay. So there's a freebie you can always use. Well, what would need to happen too? Why does my wife always treat me like this? What would need to happen for her to treat me differently? different question, right? So you can use it anytime. Why does my 9-year-old say crazy things? What would need to happen for it to say less crazy things? Go ahead.
I love it. It's all along the right questions. Yes. So, what happens? Because I want to see everybody get to their goal this year, and I want to get to my goals. And Mike, I want you to get to your goals. So, what do we need to do? We set this beautiful goal, and then we go, yeah, but, and everything stops. How do we stop the yeah, but so we can actually get in the rocket and start heading to the moon? Okay. First thing, 4 steps. First thing, we need to recognize our fears. And sometimes that means this is point number 2, write them down. Okay. If we don't stop to say, I want this goal. Is there anything I think would hold me back? Is there anything I think would put the brakes on? If we don't acknowledge that, it will invisibly run us, stop us, and in the end, we'll say, man, didn't get there.
Let me
And
give
we're
a
not.
perfect example of how that looks and feels so people can be like, because I have a feeling so many of the listeners are like, well, I don't do that. That's not me. Perfect example of what I talked about at the beginning with Suzanne and I. Most of the people come to me with what to do and how to do it. And crazy thing is, when they don't do it, they don't go, hey, Mike, I didn't do it. And here's why. They'll say one of two things. I'm following the system exactly. Like they'll literally be self-deluded into going, I did it just as prescribed. Or they'll come up with, because now they've got stakes that they've made up, like Mike said this, and I said I would do it, and then I didn't. So there's all sorts of emotions around that. So they answer the question with some sort of thing that's typically not the truth, right? I didn't have time, or other things that are true, but they use that as a, and that can all be circumvented if at the beginning, well, what would stop me? Because just like you said, so that's what it looks and feels like when you don't ask that question. The problem is not only that it's running the show, but you don't know that it's running the show. It's one thing if we know what the problem is, and it's the thing we can look at it. But when we go, I am following the system I planned out. It's like, are you? You don't even know that it's not working, or so I'm busy, or I got sick, or, and again, I'm not saying you're not busy or you didn't get sick, or other things can be true, but not be the root cause. And if we don't ask the question, it's hard to get clarity. And the further away from making the decision you ask the question, the less clear it is. So I love that you say ask it. I love that you say write it down. That really crystallizes it quite nicely.
Right. Because if we don't write it down, it just floats around, flutters around in our head. We get a mess in our head. It's a chaos. And nothing happens. We feel totally confused, and we're not quite sure why.
Mike Campion here. Do you ever listen to the podcast and go, this is great information, I just wish I could actually get it implemented, and I wish I could get some help? Well, we do that. If you would like either myself or my team's help actually coming up with a plan that's specialized to you and your business, because with these podcasts, obviously we have to be very general and we can only go 20 minutes at a time. If you'd like to jump on a call with myself or my team, go to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. We'll jump on a call. There's no charge, and we'll help you get some absolute clarity around exactly what to do next and how to do it. The reason we don't charge for these calls is the plan that we come up with, people want help implementing that. If that's the case, we're happy to talk about it. And if it's not, that's okay too. We're happy to just help you come up with a plan. So if you want to translate the information you're learning here into an actual plan that can change your life, give us a ring, growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. Love to either myself or have one of our coaches walk you through and actually personalize the content you get here to where you're at with your business. Talk soon. Well, and we'll go in circles. I can't get employees because I don't have customers, and I can't get customers because I don't have employees. And then we just kind of do the circle. But once we write it down, you can be like, all right, it's just this thing on paper. I can, like, once it's in your head, we can just chase our tail kind of forever. And then we just go frustrated. We just wander off. But once it's written down, you're like, that's it. That's really the whole thing.
Right. So 1, recognize the fear. 2, write it down. Why are we writing it down? So we can analyze it more easily, which is number 3. Let's analyze it. Okay. So any of the fears or concerns, like, wait a minute, I don't know how.
Can I start one that we deal with all the time so we can walk through?
Please.
Okay. So many of our clients, I'll let you pick. 2 of the big fears they have is I don't want to raise prices, and I don't want to, let's start with that one. I think that's probably the biggest, scariest one, right? So they'll come to us and we do the math and we show them, like, it is irrevocably it's going to be the right thing. And they know it. So they got the brain checked, right? It's not, they can all do math. They all get it. None of them are, we're not asking them to do anything crazy. And they say they're going to do it. And they don't think why they wouldn't. And they don't write it down and they don't analyze. So let's say they did take the moment to think it through and say they had a conversation with, obviously if you can have someone that you trust and know to walk you through this, it's going to be a little easier. If not, you can work it out on your own. They'll probably come up with a list like, well, I'll say what I know it are, and you can tell me if I'm missing the list that they would actually come up because I don't know how good they're at actually writing down. But they probably say something like, "I'm afraid my customers will quit. I'm afraid they'll be mad at me. I'm afraid they can't afford it, and I'll feel guilty. I'm afraid it'll work and I'll make a bunch of money, and I'm not worthy of it." They might feel that, not write that down. So that would be that. And then like on the analyze, now that we're on step 3 with analyzing, I just want to obviously you can give it in the rhetorical, but how would we actually analyze that kind of clump of fears specifically?
That's perfect, Mike. Thank you. I love this. It's fun and I do it all the time, right? Okay, so the initial goal, let's just work it backwards just for a fraction of a second. The initial goal is I desire more profit. I desire a more stable business, right? That's why they're wanting this. So I desire more profit. I desire stable business. Now, to get to that goal, I realized, wait a minute, Mike's told me I need to do price increases. That's a fear. The fear is I don't want to do price increases. Oh, believe me, I know this because I'm going to lose my customers. I'm going to lose the money I have. You know what? All of a sudden, I'm not going to have a business. I'm going to lose my whole business. I'm going to be destitute. I'm going to be homeless on the street.
Sounds
That's
ridiculous.
that's
People
where
get
mine
there.
goes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's where they
Yes.
go.
Okay. That's why number 3 is the analysis. Okay. Is it real? Okay. I wrote, I'm going to lose. This is my fear. I'm not doing it because my brakes are on. Slam. I'm not doing it because I'm going to lose all my customers. Then I'm not going to have any money. Okay. Write it down and then have a look at that. Is that really realistic? No, I think our mind kind of went way off on a tangent because I've never seen that be realistic. Okay. So you say, not realistic. It's like the real fear when people talk about public speaking and they say, I'd rather die, right? I might die. No, you're not going to die. You're not going to die. No, you're not going to be homeless on the street. That's not real. So let's analyze this. And now we move into step number 4.
Can we can't sit on analyzing just a minute more?
Yeah, but this is
So
part of the analyzing, but
okay,
go
go to
ahead.
step 4. No, 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 hit me with step 4, and then I don't want to completely
Okay.
abandon this part.
Okay. Because part of the analysis is what do I need to know or who do I need to go to for help and support?
Love that. That answers. Okay, so let me ask my question, and you've answered it. So this is
Okay.
actually great. The fear I have, Suzanne, is two things happen. One, is that reasonable? It could be depending on the person, right? If you've got 4 clients and you're going to raise prices for double on all of them, and they're all were never good clients in the first place, they're all half homeless themselves. Is it reasonable they're all going to quit? Yeah, it could be, right? So there's part of it. The bigger part is what we think is reasonable can get. I've never been murderous, but I've seen murderous people. And in that moment, they feel it is reasonable, right? Someone has done something to them that's upset them so much, they just feel murderous. They're obviously, if not crazy or mentally disturbed all the time, they're in a state of the way they're seeing the world is not right, right? They need someone to go, hold on, take a breath. It's okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? They can probably come back to sanity. I don't know if they're always insane. I think when we had and I used something a little jarring because I think it can feel that way when I don't think sometimes we're making important decisions. I don't think we are the best equipped to answer honestly or effectively. Is that realistic? I think we can, on a 1 to 10, say 3 through 6 is a realistic. Seven's kind of on the edge. 7 or 8 is kind of sketchy, but kind of possible. And then 10 is like, well, you're being silly. I think we stretch it to like 10. You know what I'm saying? We can't see properly. So what I'm hearing you say is seek out other people that can see properly, right? Like if I'm
Right.
again, I would never want to leave my wife, but if I did, I'd talk to other smart people that would smack me in the head and go, "Are you out of your goddamn mind? This is an amazing woman you're being,"
Right.
and help me kind of see it rationally, I guess is the best word I can use. Okay, so thank you. You had answered that. When we try and analyze it on our own, my point was I don't think people, when it's an emotional decisions, what the important ones are, they're not able to analyze rationally. So your solution is find
Right.
someone that is rational that you trust and have them check your work, so to speak. Am I being crazy? And go, yeah, you are being crazy.
Exactly. Because if we swim in our own head, we only get the same answers,
Right.
right? We just keep getting the same answer and it stops us. We might as well not leave the couch because we're not doing it. The brakes are, I have seen people on that particular issue, the brakes are so firmly on. I am not doing it. There's no way I'm going to raise prices because this is going to happen. And it stops you dead in your tracks. And now you don't have that opportunity to increase your profit, to have a stronger business, to grow.
But even if you're in that situation, if you follow the steps that you've lined out, Suzanne, I still think you're better equipped. So let's just say you're not going to do that. You're just
Yes.
not. So if I've written
Yes.
it down, first of all, I've identified the fears. So if I don't identify, I have no chance because now I won't do it. I
Right.
don't even know why. And then the whole thing is a
Right.
mess. Once I've written it down, a lot of things happen. Maybe it goes from a 20 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10. In my perspective, maybe it's really a 6. But for me, I think even writing it down takes it from a 20 to a 12. Right? It's still unreasonably high, but we've knocked some off. And then when I go, is that really the case? I go, well, they won't all quit and punch me in the face. Maybe only half punch me in the face and only 90% quit. It's like, all right, so I kind of take it again, even if my vision is skewed, right?
Right.
Um, and then I go to Suzanne or anyone I trust, and they go, "Are they really going to punch you in the face? Are they really going to, leave 1,000 bad reviews and you're going to die a
Right.
thousand fiery deaths? Probably not."
Right.
But then
So,
even still, at the end of that, you still have your secret weapon of what would I have to do it? So you could still go, I'm not going to do it. It's like, all right, but are you? So now that we've gone through that process, we have a tool. I know this is. I feel like this is what I need to succeed. Here's what I'm going to do. So at least you can have a rational conversation with yourself. What would I have to do? And maybe come up with a
okay.
third thing. I don't have to raise price. It'd still be better to do, but I can do a third thing. Or you can at least intentionally go, if the cost of having the financial security is raising prices, I'm not going to do it. And you're still better off. At least you made a gut dang decision as opposed to just didn't do it, didn't know why, I felt guilty, and just beat yourself up all the time.
Right. So now let's insert Mike's magical question. What would need to happen to? What would need to happen to? Okay. So what would need to happen in order for me to feel more comfortable raising prices? Okay.
Great question.
Okay. So now what am I going to do? I'm going to do the smart stuff, which is easy to do. Research. Okay. I'm going to go back through some podcasts. I'm going to find Mike's. I'm going to find somebody else's. I'm going to find people who have done it. I'm going to build up my understanding of how this works. I'm going to read. I'm going to study. I'm going to ask an advisor. I'm going to get support. I'm going to find out more information about what's holding me in the dark and putting my brakes on.
Love that.
And that's number 4. You're taking action. And guess what? By taking action, we've already started the rocket. We've already sat in the car. We're out on the road. And then we start to get to our goal.
And it sounds like you can do it again. So say I take action, and not only does the person quit, like was my first fears, but they tell me I'm a dirty, money grubbing, all my worst fears. And again, I'm just trying to, because we don't have to plan for when it goes
Uh-huh.
well. That's pretty easy. All my fears come true. We just start back at number one. Okay. Well, I raised one price. I thought I was going to raise 7 prices or whatever the case may be. And you just go right back down to what are my fears? Well, my fears are that because of this one guy did it, I'm doubling down on the other 6 guys. You go, is that really true? And you go, well, I guess just because this one guy did it doesn't mean they're all going to do it. Like, I guess they're, you know what I'm saying? And then when you talk to it, so you can just keep going through that same kind of repositioning
Yes.
steps over and over until you got where you want to go.
That's the course correction.
Yeah, I love it. These are my favorite. I just Suzanne's the best. If you don't have a Suzanne in your life, personally, professionally, you need to get at least one Suzanne in some area of your life. She's just the best. All right, I'm happy to wrap. Anything you want to add, Suzanne? Anything we missed?
That's it.
All right, guys, gals, I would encourage you, as I always do, You can listen to these, which is easy and passive and ideally fun, and just crank right through them and never take a breath, and you'll feel great about life, but you probably won't get a ton of results. So my encouragement would be, as much as I love the sound of my own voice and there's a high potential, like I'm going to the next one, hold on, let's take a break from Mike. We've had plenty of Mike. Let's go inside. Think of the one thing that you want to do and just walk through those steps, right? And when you get to step 3, if you need some help, feel free to reach out to us in the team. This is what we do all day, every day. We'd love to help. If that's too scary for you, reach out to somebody. But rarely is a problem that you kind of created on your own able to be solved on your own. So get some goddamn help. Take some action right now. If you're going to go to another podcast, mine or otherwise, give yourself 7.5 minutes to just walk through that step. Appreciate you. Have a great day. We'll talk soon. See ya. Hey, Cleaning Nation, if you dug the content you just got, we don't do any ads and I don't sell anything on this podcast, but if you would just subscribe, rate, and review, it would be huge and I'd be so appreciative. Not only is it going to help me, but you'll help other owners of cleaning companies across the world work less, make more, and get profitable. So if you appreciate the value we give, again, subscribe, rate, and review. It would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it. And we sure appreciate your time and attention.